Welcome to Paranormal or Reality. We have 4 stories that will make you think twice about watching this in the dark. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Let's begin. There's this one haunted suite in one of the old dorms. It's completely blocked off. The only way to get in is to break in through the suite next to it, which, ironically, was a designated party suite. A student ended their life in that suite around 30 years ago and has haunted it since. Eventually, none of the other suite mates or anyone else could live in it, so the college blocked it off. My friend once sneaked into that suite with a bunch of other people. She said the whole place was empty as expected, except there's a single chair in the middle of the common room. That chair was said to be there so that student's spirit can sit and not bother people around. Some people said it was the chair the student used to hang himself. My friend and the other people brought a Ouija board with them to use to talk to the spirit. They didn't get any concrete answers, but could confirm through yes or no questions that they were indeed talking to that student's spirit. Before they could ask more questions, a door violently slammed by itself in front of their faces with absolutely no winds since the entire place was sealed off, and they'd checked every single room to make sure no one was there when they first came in. They all ran off after this encounter. My second story was when I taught at a small high school for a few years. The building was pretty new and in good conditions. My classroom was fine, no paranormal vibe at all. A few months into the school year, I brought in 2 portraits of 2 politicians to hang on the wall, one of man and woman. I taught social studies, so they were very relevant to my lessons. I hung them on 2 pieces of metal I drilled into the wall using round hooks. One of them, the portrait of the woman, kept falling off the wall. I had carpeted floor, so it wasn't damaged, just annoying. My coworkers joked that a sexist ghost was haunting my room. None of the windows in this entire building could be opened, so I couldn't blame on the wind. They fell when I was in the room with the door closed, so I literally had no idea what caused it. One day, I was not in the mood, so as soon as I heard the portrait fell one more time, I cursed the ghost out, saying it was disrespectful toward the female politician. I didn't actually believe there was a ghost haunting my room. I just yelled into the void out of frustration. After that, the wall clock that had been fine suddenly began to fall down multiple times a week. One day, one of my coworkers, whose room was next to mine, pulled me into her room and told me this. Both of our rooms were probably haunted. The person using the room before me was very uneasy and always found excuses to not be alone in the room. Before I came, her room was very haunted. One time, the hallway camera captured footage of the doorknob turned by itself, while absolutely no person was even near that wing. After she told me this, my room became more active with all the stuff falling off the wall. I was moved to a different room the year after and never had an issue. Later, I found out the school building used to be an orphanage. My faculty has a ghost. The building was built in 1407 and throughout history was many things. In its early years, it was used as a place of convent for Dominican friars under the patronage of St. Peter Martyr. Little by little, the congregation became the organ in charge of the trial of the causes, that is to say, the Spanish Inquisition. History affirms that in this convent, the inquisitors tortured and executed heretics and those accused of insults against the faith. During this period, the peak of the convent's existence, more than 60 friars, many of them famous members of the Holy Office, lived within its walls. On May 27, 1993, after a thorough remodeling, the building was inaugurated as the headquarters of the government delegation and the state administration. But during the inaugural ceremony, the Ministry of the Interior was asked to cede the building for educational use, a purpose it still fulfills today. Since the cloister was occupied by hundreds of professors, students, and employees of the university, multiple rumors affirm that within those ancient walls, some things happen that lack logical explanation. The testimonies come from students, janitors, security employees, university staff, or simple visitors. One of the most repeated experiences refers to the vision of a blurred figure, which some describe as a faint white smoke, which is usually seen in some places of the old convent, mainly in some areas such as the cloister, the library, the church, or the upper stalls. Witnesses state that this white smoke moves as if it were floating, and quite quickly, so that it is never seen for a period of more than 3 or 4 seconds. Some witnesses even claim to have seen this phenomenon more clearly, being able to distinguish a female figure dressed in a kind of white habit, as if it were a nun. This version is quite widespread among the cleaning staff, who even, perhaps to overcome the fear that it causes, it refers to this figure as Incarna. A matter of fact, with all the naturalness in the world, when the cleaners go into any of the rooms where this vision usually appears, they do it with the warning, Incarna, don't scare me, I'm coming in, and they say goodbye in the same way they entered. This is very curious, since in the history of San Pedro, martyr, the presence of any woman does not stand out, since most of the people who lived here were men. Even so, almost all the burials there are of Dominican religious, with the exception of 2 burials of women brought here during the time this was used as a provincial pantheon. The nun's ghost is said to manifest itself in various ways, from apparitions to moving elevators in the middle of the night, or disorganizing classroom furniture after the cleaners have finished their work in the classrooms. This is why many of the university's night employees, cleaning staff and security guards, have resigned since the opening of the college. Professors rarely mention the subject, but students who graduated in the first graduating classes have no problem explaining their experiences. Most agree that Incarna's appearances occurred during the exam periods when the faculty opened its doors for the students to study at night, in the so-called night library. In the past, the library was closed, but some classrooms in the main courtyard were made available for students to study there. That is why when the students went to the bathroom or to the vending machine to get a coffee, it was common for them to go in groups, due to the generalized fear that the whole issue of the nun had caused. Normally, it was the students who wandered alone in the courtyard or the corridors who saw the apparitions of Incarna. As a result of the uproar caused by the rumors, the school administration decided to finally enable the faculty library for night study sessions, closing the courtyard of San Pedro. In my case, I have never experienced any of these apparitions, but what I can say is that the vibe given by some corners of the faculty makes my hair stand on end. There are bodies buried and walled up in classrooms, hallways, and courtyards, so the spiritual charge of the place is quite high. In fact, when I joined a faculty club as a freshman, we would try to leave the building before the sun went down, because some of my classmates experienced unexplained events and were very afraid. During the 2000s, I don't have the exact date, a national television program famous for its paranormal investigations made a very short but very complete report on this subject, with testimonies and other experiences that I haven't told you about. I started going to a new school in the 2nd grade. The cafeteria was downstairs in the basement. There was a long, empty hallway that led to the 2 bathrooms. I remember the first time I went to the bathroom there. Nobody told me it was haunted. So on the first day of 2nd grade, I ventured down the hall to go to the bathroom. As I made my way towards it, I kept hearing this noise, like someone was whistling. When I approached the doorway, I felt this negative energy hit me, and I knew not to go in there. I ran back to the cafeteria, told some girls about it. They told me that bathroom was haunted. Us girls were all terrified of the bathroom, but the boys said their bathroom was fine. They even said that felt this weird energy every time they walked past girls' bathroom. It got so bad we had to have the principal come talk to our class about it. Everyone knew it was haunted. Flash forward to 3rd grade, it was Halloween, and I was the first student in the classroom. Every Halloween we had a parade outside where we marched around in our costumes. I began putting my costume on over my clothes and noticed a piece of paper folded up in my desk. It caught my eye. I don't know how to describe it, but it was folded strangely. I picked it up, unfolded it, and in a faint handwriting it said, "If you dare go to the bathroom downstairs, I'll kill you." I can't make this up. I was the first student in the room. The previous day I left school in line with everybody else. Once more kids came into the classroom, I told my friends, and they were more scared than I was. They made me tell the teacher. You could tell she thought it was odd, but she crumpled up the paper and threw it away. That's the last time I saw it. The only time I went to the bathroom again was with large groups. We used to have a thing called field day where we played outside all day on the last day. One time on field day, 10 of my friends and I had to go to the bathroom, so we all teamed up and went to the one downstairs. I remember leaning up against the wall and hearing something, as if someone was banging on the wall with an axe. We all heard it. It was uncomfortably loud. Also, no one ever went in the last stall, but this day, a girl did. The stall had cobwebs all over it and everything. Then one night, I was at the school for a concert. This was towards the end of 5th grade, so I was brave enough to go down there myself. I was kind of curious, so I went down to the hall as usual. Once I entered the hallway, I could hear the sound of whistling like before. I went into the bathroom, but I just stood around. I didn't actually go in a stall or anything. Suddenly, I just got scared and ran towards the door. But to my surprise, I bumped into a rather strange lady with long gray hair, a scarf partially covering her head and face. I just brushed by her and ran. Not sure who that was. To be honest, I didn't even hear the door open. Also, the lights were dimmed when I was in that bathroom. The energy in there is just insane. You feel like you're in danger. Girls would cry because they didn't want to use that bathroom. The loud, overwhelming whistling, the occasionally banging noises, the unused last stall that's door was always shut, the scratches on the mirror, the old poster that hung on the wall. It was just creepy. Maybe the note was a prank, but I do know that that bathroom is haunted. So, in my city, at the end of the street that I live on was a beautiful mansion that has been abandoned for 30 years, near the lake. A couple friends and I decided to go explore it because of how long it had been abandoned. Keep in mind I was an 18-year-old man, with my friends being all women. We decided to at first sit by the water to have a couple cigarettes, but after 5 minutes we heard some blood-curdling screams coming from a child. As we looked around and searched the area but found no one, we got scared, so we decided to go inside of the house through a broken garage door. Since everything had been boarded up, that was the only way in. The minute you walk in the garage, you see a door which goes down one hallway to the main room, as well as a set of stairs that goes upstairs to the bedrooms. I wanted to look at the main room, and my friends went upstairs. Looking back now, that was a mistake. After about 10 minutes, I found the basement, which had its own little movie theater, and in the corner, what I thought would have been a broom closet was, in fact, a child's bedroom with a padlock on the door. So, in the pitch black, I decided to use my flashlight and look around. I ended up finding a picture of a burning man beside a rock with engravings on it. I was spooked, so I decided to left a peace offering and left the room. I sat in the movie chairs for a second, but moments later I felt cold hands around my neck and started choking. After trying to pull off something that was not there, but felt so real. As I turned towards the door, I saw a man standing there with his hands pointing towards the stairs. He didn't speak, but I could hear him telling me to run away and get my friends and go. I was puzzled about the whole situation when I heard my friends scream. I ran upstairs and found them in a room that was dripping blood from the walls. It was not just me that had saw it. Then a woman came out of the fireplace who was partially burnt. She was wearing a 1960s dress with open burn wounds on her hands and neck. I grabbed my friends and left immediately outside to recuperate it. But before we left, I felt this burning on my back. My best friend's leg was feeling wet. We lifted up my shirt and saw 3 scratch marks down my back. We also rolled up my friend's pant leg, and she had a huge gash on her leg with 3 claw marks on her arm. To this day, we don't know what happened there, and we have not gone back to find out. Thanks for tuning in. Watch another video if you dare.